We should be live.
Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is number 338. Today is the 5th of May, also known as Cinco de Mayo. And we've got a great episode for you. We got a lot of questions to go through. We got some announcements, but first want to say hi to the guys. I was really hoping that this Hump Day Hangouts would land yesterday so that we could make some May the 4th jokes, but instead I'll settle for the 5th of May. So is what it is. Let's go around, say hello, and see what's going on here. So Chris, how you doing today?
Well, doing super good here. Weather is good, can't complain. Summer is coming. Apparently they're going to remove the lockdown on the 19th, so everything should be opening up. I mean, a couple things already opening, but well, I believe it when I see it, right? So they delayed it a couple times, so well, it's looking promising.
Nice. Marco, how about you? How you doing today, man?
Welcome to my world, where Marco goes off into the light.
We don't see the light, man.
Oh, sorry. My daughter's in the office, so I can't move the camera over. I'm not gonna show the back of her head this time. But I mean, you can see it from here, from how light it is in the office. That it's light outside. It's beautiful. It's warm, and best of all, our shit is still killing it. It's killing it. We were supposed to have had a December update. I posted an image where it went up. Interesting enough in December, that one. But I mean, across the board, when I post images, it's across the board, new stuff, old stuff, just whatever. It just goes up. I just did one in the Heavy Hitter Club, the free Heavy Hitter Club, where I'm showing the 8th most searched term is yacht rental, and that's the client that I always talk about. The luxury client. I'm going to give away part of my niche, where it's 10K in pocket minimum for the clients. Okay, so that's what they net, but it can be into the business. So imagine you're doing a luxury for a week. It's a wedding, it's a bachelorette, it's a bachelor, just whatever. Go ahead and look for it. Do all you want. You're not gonna take me down because there's too much money in this shit. But go ahead, by all means, please. I welcome the competition. Just to show 270 something, 273, but that's in a month, right? That's the last 28 days. So it's an average of almost 10 per day just for that one. But there's 7 above that. I wasn't gonna give away all the keywords that I'm targeting. There's 7 above that, and there's 400 or 500 below that, maybe more, that are all bringing in action. So imagine when we talk and the guys are toasting, the guys are drinking, and they're sipping 30-year-old rum that I sent them, and everybody's saucy and they're looking at the results, and everybody's giddy. Literally, they're laughing, and high five and all this other shit. Guys, it's all there. Our shit works. I posted also, join the Heavy Hitter Club, but listen, go join only if you're going to take action. The action isn't joining, that's part of the action. You then have to go train, apply, and make money. That's the other part of it. So it's not just joining and sticking your thumb in your butt and doing nothing except sticking your thumb in your butt. It's taking action, training, applying it. So you can't just train, you can't just consume information and think that that's going to rank your shit. It's not going to do anything except have you store information in your brain. Your brain is capable of storing way more and doing way more. So you're not really doing anything. You're storing information, so fucking what? Now, when you apply it and make money, and then you go and hire someone so that they can train, apply, and help you make money, man, that's when it starts just boom. It's that snowball rolling downhill effect where it picks everything up in its way. And we see it time after time after time. And I'm going to tell you right now, updates don't matter. They make no difference because we're sending Google the right signals rather than negative signals. And so many of the right signals that if you happen to send Google a negative signal, it recovers. You see it, a little bump, it'll go down, and then it comes back up and even better most of the time. So I'm here and I'm where I want to be rather than where I have to be, because our shit has shown itself to work year after year after year, update after update. And I'm gonna shut the fuck up now and let you guys go about your business. Don't join if you don't want to. Like I don't care. It makes no difference to me. But if you want to help yourself, you know where to go.
Thanks for the thumb in your butt mental picture.
Action takers wanted, not
like
thumb,
that.
not thumbs in the butt.
Not thumb and butt. No, that's not an action that we want.
All right. Well,
that's you.
Hernan, I'm not sure how you're going to follow this one up, but how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just gonna shut up. No, but
where's your other hand at? I only see one hand. I want to make sure all those are accounted for.
Yeah, here they are. Here they are.
He's got the stinky pinky.
Here. So, no, it's good, man. It's good. Everything is good. I've been away for a couple of days, and it's been good. I've been in Patagonia for like 10 days or so, and it's been awesome. So happy to be back home. Happy to be back in the routine, hitting back the gym. There's so much freedom in routine, like Bradley would say. So, anyways, happy to be back.
Definitely. Cool. And Bradley, last but not least, how you doing today?
Busier than all shit, but you know, that's a good thing, I suppose. So glad to be here.
Cool. Good deal. Well, I've got a couple quick announcements and then we will get into it. Marco, of course, mentioned Heavy Hitters Club. I'll put the link on the page there. If you want to take action and check that out, you can check it out at heavyhitter.club. And again, I'll put the link on the page for those of you who are here live. If you're new to Semantic Mastery, you're new to MGYB, Heavy Hitters Club, we recommend starting here. And by here, I mean the SEOshield.com. That's the word the, then SEOshield.com. It's free training. Find out how you can shield your site. You don't have to worry about algorithm updates again, and you'll find out about all these terms like SEO Shield. So highly recommend checking that out. Next, recommend grabbing the battle plan, and that's for step-by-step processes so you can get SEO results in the multitude of areas. So we cover everything in there that we do. You can check that out and find out a lot more about that at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And then the next place we recommend people get started, if you're an agency owner or a consultant and you want to get more clients, you want to grow your revenue, you want to scale your team. If you want to do those things, and hopefully the answer is yes to at least one, if not all of those, then 2x your agency is where you should be. So check that out at 2xyouragency.com. And then if you're ready to grow your digital marketing business, or perhaps you're also a brick and mortar business owner, we have a few of those who want an experienced community. They want fast access to real world info, and they want access to not only a great peer community of others who are doing that, but also to us. Then the mastermind is where you want to be. And you can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And I mentioned MGYB at the very beginning, but this is where you can get all your done for you services, right? So things like link building, press releases, the SEO Shield, syndication networks, a ton more. And there's just been some huge updates done on the back end to make this even better for those of you who are managing projects, which I would assume is most of you. But go and check it out. If you haven't put in an order yet, hop over to mgyb.co. Wait for the pop-up, take advantage of it. You'll get a discount, sign up there, and then put it to use. You know, this is the stuff we use for ourselves and for our clients. So highly recommend that you check that out. With that said, you guys, is there anything else we need to cover before we dive into questions? I don't think so. All right, well, let's do it.
All right, stand by. Let me grab the screen. There's not a lot of questions, and it's probably because last week we had the site down. I don't know, but it was down for a few days. But back up now, thank God, after Marco spent way too much time dealing with the host. So thanks, Marco. Let me grab the screen. Okay, you guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. So it looks like the first one up is Adrian, who asks, I just checked the Heavy Hitter Club site, but it only says how to make a file or folder public only if you have someone or another account that does have a file or folder as public. Any help, guys? I think he's referring to last week. There was a question specifically about how to make folders or files public in Google Drive, and we referred him to the Heavy Hitter Club for that. So I'm not sure, because I always have public folders because I have so many of them myself, so I can always create my own. Plus, I always order stuff from MGYB, so they deliver it to me with public files and folders, and you only need one. So I don't know what to tell you about that specifically. Marco, do you want to comment on that?
No, MGYB, MGYB.co, buy a drive stack, and you're gonna have a seeded folder for whatever else you need to do. Then in the Heavy Hitter Club, you can learn how to move it over, what it is that you need to do, because you have to go through several steps now. That's shared in the Heavy Hitter Club. I'm not going to share.
About. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying I think he understands that. So
Okay.
Your best bet, Adrian, would be to purchase a MGYB drive stack, or SEO Shield, or something like that, and then you'll have your own folder that's public that then you can create additional files and folders from, or make them public. I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Terry's up, says, I want to order a couple things from MGYB. Is there a way to see when each product will be delivered before I order? It's a good question.
All right, what was that again? I want to order a couple of things. Is there a way to see? No. No, we don't, because it depends on how many orders are in the queue.
Yeah. We have a window that we provide, which are typical times when things are delivered. Sometimes they're sooner, sometimes it's longer. It depends on how much is in queue. Do we have is that listed on the sales page, like what expected ETA delivery time is?
Not sure.
Okay. Well, you could always reach out to support and ask. And that would be the last one thing you could do is just contact support and ask what the expected delivery time would be for whatever it is that you're trying to order. And I'm sure somebody can provide you with a kind of a window of when it should be delivered.
Yeah, just for anybody else watching this, and just so you understand, our support, whether it's Semantic Mastery, whether it's MGYB, wherever it is that you're going to go, they are under strict instructions not to answer SEO questions. So if you frame the question in an SEO manner, you're going to be referred back here to get an answer to your question. So ask it simple, keep it concise. What is the wait time to have an order delivered? Be clear, because that could be interpreted to mean that you already have an order, and then they're going to tell you to check the dashboard, or they're going to go check the dashboard. They're not going to see the order, and it's going to waste your time and theirs. So try to be clear and say, I would like to place an order, but what is the wait period? What wait period can I expect? You're going to be told 2 to 3 weeks, which is general. Could take, but it depends on the number of orders that we have in the queue ahead of yours. That's when yours will be delivered. So from the time it started, it takes about a week, maybe 2. Having said that, and I'm going to say it again, if you frame it in an SEO way, what they're instructed to do is any SEO related questions must be asked in Facebook or in the paid groups or here. They will not answer any SEO related questions. Please remember that.
Right on. So the next question is from Ian. He says, what are your thoughts on auto blogging? Is it obsolete or can it still be viable for traffic? No, I mean, it can be viable for traffic. Press releases, something that's still kind of in beta, hasn't been launched publicly yet, but Condis, which is an app that Press Advantage, the developers from Press Advantage, Jeremy, has created. It's crazy, but it creates news style kind of like, distribution sites that are very much like auto blogs. And man, it's crazy because some of the sites in that network are ranking like almost every time I publish a press release and it gets pushed out through that particular network. I see some of those sites ranking on page 1 for brand searches for the brand and for the projects that I'm using the press releases for. So they're absolutely viable for traffic. It depends on how they're built and the way they're built and the content that you're using. So there's a lot of variables there, but it still can work for traffic and also kind of like blog network sites. They can be used for that purpose as well. I think the 2 most successful apps or strategies, methods that I've seen using that sort of kind of like auto blogging would be Damon Nelson's, RSS Master technology. And then Jeremy's, from Press Advantage, the app that they've been building, which again, still not ready for public to be released to the public yet. But those two, I've seen some really good results using those types of apps. Not so much with the others, but with those, I've seen some pretty significant results. So it can be. It just depends. Again, there's a ton of variables that go into that, but if it's done right, it can be a viable source. Comments, guys?
Well, isn't Syndication Academy part of that auto blogging, right?
Yeah.
Because we syndicate into, we have at least 3 properties where our content is syndicated. Twitter is also triggered. And I've seen that over time, when you power it up correctly, they will rank really well for branded searches. And some of them will even get people to take action. If you have the right CTAs, they'll bring people to the website.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next was Jerry says, hey guys, I got a question for Bradley. Suppose you have a service area business client that can service clients nationally. The website has main service pages and then location pages for the different cities. A branded stack, PR, and branded citations have been made for the business name, linking back to the home page.
Mm-hmm.
The business offers multiple services and has all the location pages made. Is it a good idea to also build out citations of each individual location page, e.g., or for example, citations to business name, service, 1, city name? It's a weird long whatever that is, and a different batch of citations for business name, service, 2, city name, thanks. Only if they have locations. Like, in other words, if you have physical locations for each one of those cities that you're mentioning in that example, then yeah, you can. You certainly can. There's no, I mean, the way I look at it is every individual location, if it's a multi-location company, right, a brand with multiple locations, then every single individual location can absolutely have its own citations, and there's no reason why you can't or you shouldn't do that. If it's a legit business with a real location, then you can absolutely have citations for each one of them. And I do that for, legitimate businesses and legitimate GMB assets. I still build citations. In fact, I recently just started using SEMrush's local listings service because it's just Yext. They're basically resellers for Yext, but it's only $20 a month, and it gets you into like 80 some directories very, very quickly, and you can go in and edit details if needed, and it will update all of them. It's, again, it's Yext, but specifically the reason I did it was because there's voice search now, right? There's like Alexa or whatever. I don't use it, but Google Home, a lot of those voice search apps. And by getting using Yext or a Yext reseller like SEMrush, for example, then you get added into the voice search stuff too, which that's gaining in popularity, and it's just a matter of time till more and more of that becomes critically important for traffic and for leads, obviously. So yeah, I mean, again, if you have a legitimate location for each one of these cities that you're mentioning here, then there's no reason that you can't or shouldn't create citations for those as well. I think some citations are still, pretty powerful to have. There's no question. So I would encourage you to do so. Any comments on that?
No, totally agree. But it requires a specific location, right? You can't just build citations because now you're confusing the bot. But yeah, GMB assets, that's the only reason, the only way that I do it is if I have a GMB for that location. It's because it then has an office and it has a number, it has the NAP, and you can differentiate that location from all of the other locations, and you can create the node relationships or the relationships between the parent or the main branch and the children or all other branches that belong to that main branch. So I hope that makes sense, but that's the only way that I would do this. I would not just build citations to a page in my website that has that location if there is nothing to back that up, if there's no physical location to back that up.
And I agree. And that's what I was, and I'm glad you mentioned this because it reminded me to kind of clarify something. So the business can have the same name, but for each individual location, it should have a unique address, a unique phone number, and a unique website or landing page, right? So I'm going to put landing page. Does that make sense? So the thing is, you don't want, you can have so this is really 4 points. We talk about NAP, but there's really 4 data points here, right? Because it includes the website / landing page. So if the name is going to remain consistent because it's for one brand with multiple locations, then you have to have the other 3 data points as unique. So unique physical address, unique phone number, and a unique website / landing page. Because if you don't, then you can ambiguate the main entity, which would be what you've done so far to the home page. Does that make sense? So like if you have one location that's the main primary location, like the headquarters, corporate headquarters, whatever you want to call it, then that's going to be typically the way that I've seen most multi-location businesses set up is there will be a GMB associated with that main corporate headquarters. And typically the landing page associated with that GMB, so the website URL, is going to be the root domain. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine to do it that way. But then for each individual or subsequent location, right? So each additional location, it should have its own separate landing page, which would be, rootdomain.com/location, whatever that is, location 1 / location 2, all for however many they are, so that it has a unique web address for each individual location. Then each phone number should be unique as well. Now, can you have one singular like 800 number, for example, for all locations? Yes, but each individual location should also have its own local number. And you can have 2 phone numbers in a GMB. You can add multiple phone numbers to a GMB, but you should display your primary number as the local number in GMB and then add the 800 number as a secondary or alternative number so that Google makes that association between the 800 number and all the different locations, but the primary number is the local number, which disambiguates that particular location. Does that make sense? And then again, the physical address will also have to be unique. So if you're going to have the same name, now something that I do for a lot of multi-location businesses is I will append the city name to the brand name for other locations. In other words, the main brand will have the brand name for the GMB, but then for the location number 1, it'll be brand name location 1 and brand name location 2. Now, again, that I do that specifically because it has a lot of the times when I'm dealing with tree services and such, tree services in the name, which is a keyword. So if I get the city name in there too, then it helps to optimize the GMB slightly. But just keep in mind that technically you should be just using the brand name. As long as you're keeping 3 data points unique, then you can keep the same brand name across all locations and you're fine. Does that make sense? Hopefully that was a good explanation. All right, moving on. Next one. Robert from California apparently says, is there much benefit in ranking benefits if I attach location pages to the main service page like this, hvac/hvac-new-york, or do I separate the location pages out on their own and then add internal links from the main service page? So I'm not understanding the question, because the way that it sounds like here is it sounds like you are creating the location page as a sub page of the primary service page. And that's perfectly fine. You can silo that way if you'd like. Again, you can do that, but I don't understand what you mean by attach the page, unless you're talking about nesting it as a sub page or a child page of the main service page, which I get that from the URL structure. But then your follow-up, or the second part of that, is do you separate the location pages out on their own and then add internal links from the main service page? So I don't understand the question. If you can clarify that, can anybody else interpret this question? I'm not sure what he's asking here.
No.
Okay. Yeah, if you can clarify the question, this to me sounds like it's the same thing. So I just don't understand what you mean by that.
I would put that on one page, HVAC New York. I don't understand, or New York HVAC.
Yeah.
Service plus location, unless you have multiple services, which you would then do the location page into, and then list the services and link from the services out to each individual service. So New York, or HVAC New York HVAC, with a list of services. So it would just be services, right? Whatever HVAC services you have, and then you list them on that page, and you would go out to the individual service pages with the bot understanding, because you will create the schema relationship that this is all related to New York, to the services that you provide in the city of New York.
Yeah. So what I like to do is and I've talked about this many times. We have, I think you can go to semanticmastery.com/process. And I believe our redirects are working right now. Let's just pull it up real quick. And it's going to redirect to an opt-in now. That's, I think, mgyb.co/process, perhaps.
Same thing.
It's the same? Okay. Well, then just go to mgyb.co/process. Okay. And I think, because I'd set it up on Semantic Mastery, but I think we redirected it. Let's just double check it. Yeah. Okay. Do that. Go to mgyb.co/process. Sign up. It's free. You're going to get a process street training template that I had created, which has got videos and notes and all that other kind of shit in there. And I talk very specifically about, for local businesses, how I set up silos now, because I use category structure for the topical silos or service-based silos on a local business type website, right? So for example, for tree services, I might have a tree removal silo and a tree trimming silo. Those are my service or topical silos. Then for the location-based silos, I just use tags, because tags create essentially category, like it's a taxonomy structure, right? So you can accomplish something very similar to categories in WordPress using tags. And so I separate them out that way, and I build location-based silos using tags and topical or service silos using categories. And I talk about how to do that, at least conceptually, in that process doc that I just pointed you to. So again, mgyb.co/process. It's free. And you can go in there and set it up that way. The way that I prefer to do it is on the service page, which is the top of silo service page, as I like to put a table. So I usually use a plugin like a insert table type plugin in WordPress, that then I add all of the different locations that service is available for, right? And so in that table, I'll link with just the city name to the actual location landing page. Does that make sense? And the reason I do that is because then what I like to do is link build, through our SEO Power Shield and through syndication networks and all that other kind of stuff. I like to link build to the topical service page, which then has individual links that go out to the location pages for that particular service. Does that make sense? And that way I'm powering up my topical page or service page in this case, which is going to flow through the links at the bottom in the table to the individual location pages. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyways, I talk about that in that process street training, which you can get for free.
Yeah, since I split my links in a very specific manner, I really like to keep tight control of what I do rather than breaking it up that way. So it's just different ways of accomplishing the same thing.
That's right. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So for those that skin cats. All right, next is Marco's pretty impressive image there. Okay, next, Digital says, do you have step-by-step standard operating procedures and checklists for who's in Semantic Mastery SEO, or for Semantic Mastery SEO? Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of, I give out SOPs all the time in the mastermind when people ask for them. I've given out tons of SOPs that I developed for my own team. As long as what I try to do often is create SOPs for my team first, and then kind of whitewash them. In other words, make them more, get rid of individual stuff that's proprietary for my own agency or operation, account details and stuff like that, and then provide kind of a vanilla version of it, if that makes sense, to our Semantic Mastery Mastermind members. So I give away a ton of SOPs all the time, or when somebody asks me up for one specifically, if it's something that I need, that I'm doing currently in my own business, then I don't mind producing one, because I generally have one already anyway. I produce process training for just about absolutely everything I do. In fact, I've spent the last week and a half now doing process training for my my new agency's team. It's just been an enormous amount of work. But once again, I've said this a million times, by spending the time, investing the time in developing processes, even though it's incredibly time consuming. For example, I have one very specific GMB post process that I use that gets results, but it's time consuming. And I had tested with it, doing it myself for about 3 weeks, and got really good results from the various tests that I did with it. But it's very time consuming. So I budgeted out an entire day to create the process training for that GMB post process that I could hand it off to one of my VAs. Little did I know that I always underestimate how long it's going to take to develop a process. And it took me 3 damn days. So I fell behind all the other work that I had scheduled last week by 2 days, because it took me 3 entire days, full days, no shit, to complete that process. And it was a lot of work, and it's frustrating because it pushed me back on some, behind schedule on some of my other stuff that I had scheduled for the week. But I don't have to worry about doing GMB posts in that particular method because I have a VA now that does it for me. And so again, it's very much, I just recently started using something that I needed some article spinning for. And I forgot, because I haven't done article spinning in a long, long time. I forgot how tedious it is and how much I don't like doing it. So I spun one article on my own, and then I was like, that's it. I'm developing a process. And it took me a day and a half to develop a process to teach one of my VAs how to do article spinning the right way. So again, it's very, very time consuming, but it's something that should be done. So yes, just to answer your question, in the mastermind, I often share my SOPs when people request them. So yeah, we do. By the way, this is a process, this that I was just pointing at. This is a conceptual level process. In other words, this is what our components do, and why we use them, and why we stack them or build them in the way that we do. If you want the how to do it, that's where you join the mastermind or the heavy hitter club, or purchase one of our training programs, one of our training products that teaches you individual, the how-to for each individual component of the overall SEO shield. Does that make sense? So this is the why we do what we do. The how is inside of our mastermind, heavy hitter club, or in our individual training products. You want to comment on that, Marco?
I mean, that's fine. Adam also posted the battle plan, which also includes like an overview. Mm-hmm. Not so much a checklist, but an overview of how to go about doing SEO the semantic mastery way. Wherever you go, I mean, in our groups, whether it's the heavy hitter club, whether it's the semantic mastery mastermind, you're going to get a fire hose of information. But it basically comes down to get your own page right and get your schema tight. I mean, and create the right relationships between the nodes. You can use an app to start. You can use a schema builder to start. You can use SEO Ultimate, which I recommend fully. But then you have to take that and you have to edit it, and you have to do it right, or else you're just doing what everybody else is doing. Yeah. And there's no reason for the bot to come and pay any special attention to what you're giving it, because you're not giving it any reason to treat it differently. Is when you start creating those nodal relationships, that shit really starts to happen. That's on page. Off page, you get the SEO shield in place, order your press releases, and then start link building. If it's local, even if it's not local, I mean, you go into the GMB and you do that the local GMB Pro way, and with some extra spicy hot sauce that I shared in the Heavy Hitter Club. So, but it's all of these things put together. You can't just go into one thing and say, oh, I'm going to get the SEO shield and I'm going to rank for DUI attorney. No, the fuck you're not. I'm going to go and build a syndication network my way and rank for Amazon. But no, the fuck you're not. It's when it all comes together is when you put all of these different pieces together. Now, in and of themselves, if you have a syndication network, it's great. It's great for syndicating your content and for powering up your T1 branded and your brand and your entity over time. Build an ad ID to give the bot an idea of what your organization is about. Build drive stack and gsite, fantastic for pushing power. But how do you put all of these pieces together so that it's, you called it once a holistic, right? Including pay-per-click advertising. So holistic SEO, where all of these different pieces are put together in one, so that you can have the full effect, so that you can go after something in the luxury niche like yachts and win. Because guys, I don't just like to compete, and I hate second place. Second place to me is the first loser. I'm not the guy that you want to say, well, at least, you know, I went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson and at least I didn't get knocked out. Got your brain shook loose, got a couple of teeth out, but yeah, I survived. Well, hell no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who wins, and I want to be the guy who wins time after time after time after time. I'm obsessive that way. I'm competitive that way. I don't like to come in second. I hate second place. I want first place. And so because I'm like that, everything that we do has been developed in order to be able to achieve that. And all it takes, and I'm saying all it takes because it's a lot of work, is more of it when you're doing it. And more of it. And then we have all of these other things in our bag of tricks. It's not really bag of tricks, but in our SEO bag that we can reach to. If it gets hyper competitive, if people start coming after you, if people start trying to take you down, we have things that we can reach out to. But the whole point is learn to put it all together. And the only way that you can put it all together is by being in one of the paid groups and being active and asking questions. You're not going to get everything here. I gave you an overall, but I'm not going to tell you how to put all of this together. I mentioned everything, including pay-per-click advertising, how it's done, the step-by-step, the over-the-shoulder, that I'm going to show you. These results that you guys are seeing, a part of it in this image that I shared in this group, in this webinar, part of it is that, but we show that live. We're showing case studies where we actually go into Google, not third-party bullshit where we show anything you want, but actual Google numbers, Google results, Google metrics, which is what really matters. And all your client is going to care about is those phone calls and those form fills and that money in the bank account. They don't give a shit about, oh yeah, well, you know, we have this many likes in social media and we had these many visitors to the website and we're doing really good in organic rankings. They don't give a shit. They want money. So give them that. And the only way to give them that is learning to put it all together. The only way you're going to get that is if you join the paid groups. So this checklist, yeah, we'll give you the battle plan, and it's a great start. And we'll give you the SEO Shield for free. And that's a great start. But it's only a beginning. You can come here and ask questions, but that's just the start of it. It's not the end all to it all. You cannot expect to go and compete in the luxury yacht niche and win if you're just going to go after the free shit and never come and get the real training that you need to go after the really heavy shit where you can make some really good bank. And I'm gonna get off my pedestal now and let you guys continue, because I see another question came in. But I hope that helps. Digital Wahid. You can only get so much from a checklist, from a battle plan, and from asking free questions. BB, if you're watching, you can only get so much. At some point, you either gotta jump into the paid groups or go on to somebody else who can help you get the results that you're looking for. Because here, although we've had people build agencies and build businesses just from the free information, you're never going to get the results until you go and learn to put it all together.
Yep, I agree. All right, looks like we got one more, and then we probably just wrap it up early, guys, because unless guys have other questions, go ahead and post them now, because if we don't see any more questions come out after this, we'll wrap it up a little bit early, which is fine by me. I got a shit ton of work to do. That said, Aaron says, Bradley, are you using the GMB RSS feed to set up GMB syndication via IFTTT? to other sites like your Facebook or Twitter? No, and I'll tell you why. I tried testing on several different times, and more recently, within the last, it was probably 6 or 8 weeks ago now, because I was still using Local Viking at the time, which does produce an RSS feed for you from your GMB posts. And I tried different apps that did that would produce a RSS feed from GMB posts. And I've tried multiple times to set up applets in IFTTT in various configurations to try to get the GMB post to syndicate in a way that looked decent, and it would, for SEO purposes is why I was doing it. But in every single case, I could never get, because there's no way to separate the post text of the GMB post from as a title. There's no way to separate a title out of the GMB post text. In other words, when it goes to syndicate, especially to the blog sites, it just basically pulls in whatever the first part of the text is of the GMB post, and it will pull in all of the text of the GMB post as the title until it reaches the character limit of whatever platform it's being syndicated to for the character limit for the title. Like, in other words, so there's no way to separate it out to specify like this should be the title of the syndicated post, and then the post text on the GMB post will be the body of the post. There's no way to do that. And so what happens is, after you start syndicating the posts, your blog accounts in your syndication network, especially your blog accounts, you'll start having these posts with these really super long titles that get truncated, and it's just like a block of words for the title. And so it's not, I don't advise that, because it looks spammy as shit, and and it's just a matter of time if you continue doing that before your posts, your profiles in the syndication network will be terminated or suspended for spam, because it looks spammy as hell. So as far as syndicating directly to Facebook or Twitter, I guess you could. You'd have to test with that. I was testing more on like the actual syndication network properties, not the social media properties, and I couldn't get it to work no matter which configurations I tried. So I gave up on that, and just decided not to worry about trying to syndicate GMB. I was for a period of time there, I was going to try to get away from doing any sort of work for clients on their websites at all, and strictly just do GMB optimization. But it's not really possible. And not only that, but it limited my opportunity for upselling different services for website stuff. So but just so you know, like I said, I tested with that many different times, and most recently within about the last 2 months, and I could not get GMB posts to syndicate in some fashion that looked decent without it being super spammy on the syndication sites. So that was my experience.
Yeah, that's because there's no separate title in a GMB post.
Yeah.
It all runs together. So it's a block of text. When you syndicate it out, when you try to share it, it's going to share the block of text rather than having a separate title. And even if you try to add like a title tag, it'll look crappy in the GMB post.
Yeah.
If you try to make it like an H1 or some kind of title, and you really can't do it. Like, there is really no way until Google adds a separate title into the GMB post so that it can be syndicated. And trust me, they're not going to do that. They know the power of syndication. They know the power of RSS feeds to this day. I know. If you just took a moment to go and investigate and figure out why Google not only trained its NLP and BERT and everything else that it's doing, its entities in Wikipedia, and you did a little bit of digging, you'd know why RSS is still so powerful to this day. All it takes is a little bit of digging, like I said. It's not as if it's said and done. It's so pre-2008 and all. No, to this day, RSS feeds are powerful, and Google does all it can. You see other websites to try to get people not to use the RSS feed. They don't even produce an RSS feed, and others that know how to feed the machine do, because that's all you're doing with an RSS feed. You're feeding the bot a whole lot of data through RSS feeds. Having said that, on posts, I get, and it should be an update to Local GMB Pro. I'm not going to give it all away here, but there is a way for you to share the information from your GMB and then have that be the trigger point rather than try to have the GMB be the trigger. It's an extra manual step, so don't you do it. Make sure you got a VA doing it. But you could do a whole lot more. You can get a whole lot more traction from your GMB posts that way, because then everything that goes out through your RSS feed from the other trigger points will be formatted correctly.
Yeah, and one place, Aaron, that you can put the GMB feed is go submit it, burn a feed burner feed out of it, because you're not actually syndicating, but you're basically injecting your GMB post into another Google property by just burning a feed burner feed out of it or from it. Does that make sense? So there's, that's something that you can do. And then you could always, feed burner gives you what's called a buzz boost embed code. And then you can actually embed that in some of the other areas like that we talk about, theme mirroring and G sites and stuff like that. And that helps too, because then again, it's a way to feed your GMB posts into your other entity assets without them looking like shit. Because it actually looks pretty decent in that feed burner embed. So that's just another kind of like tip that you can do. And again, that's all free stuff. They recently changed, I got a couple of months ago, I guess, some updates about feed burner, but it's still alive. So thanks for the information. I think I heard you say you are no longer using Local Viking. Are you using another service for geolocation ranking maps? Well, I use social media apps for posting for my team to be able to post to GMB. I talked about this last Wednesday, as a matter of fact, and I'm pretty sure they still have the deal, but this is the one that I'm using specifically. Guys, they're a dime a dozen. You can find a million social media apps out there that will post to GMB. So you don't have to use this one. This is just one that I found that I like. And I did it because it was on AppSumo, but it's called Easy Clout. If you go to premium, it's $99 one time, lifetime deal. You can have up to 8 platforms or profiles in any one platform into this premium Easy Clout account. So in other words, you can have 8 GMB locations, right? It also does Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram, all kinds of other shit. I use it only for GMB stuff right now. And it's just so that what I do is I have multiple of these Easy Clout premium accounts, and I put 8 GMBs in each one, if that makes sense. And that way it separates them to where they're not all underneath one social media app. It just gives me it's a little bit safer that way, in my opinion. And that way all of my VAs can log in and post directly to the GMB without each one of them having to have their own logins. All they need is the login to the Easy Clout app. So this is what I use because, again, it was a lifetime deal. I got 4 or 5 of these. I think I got 4 of the premiums, and in when I tested it, I got the standard or whatever, which was like 4 accounts. So I've got several of these that I've been using right now, and I'm hoping they'll keep this lifetime deal open for a while longer because I know I'm going to need more of them. So, but this is a great app for that. As far as for like geolocation stuff, you're talking about like creating like the local search grid maps. So yeah, I've been using Bright Local. I've had a Bright Local account since like 2012 or 13, so many years. And when I stopped using Local Viking, I started using the Bright Local, what they call local search grid reports. And I actually like those better because you can track up to 5 keywords in the same search grid report. And you can go starting with, I think the lowest amount is 5x5 grid, but you can do 5x5, 7x7, 9x9, and I think 13x13 grids. So it's a really cool app. I'm really happy with Bright Local for the search grid reports. So, all right, last question was Dan says, you're welcome, Aaron. He says, excellent, thanks for the information. Dan says, hey guys, I ordered at least 20 embed gigs through MGYB. Why can you put in 5 iframes in the general gig, but only 1 in the map in video gigs? Thank you. First of all, I didn't know that, but just so you guys are all aware, the general gig is the same, like it's the same networks. It's just, there was the separate packages because it makes it easier for people some people might not understand that a YouTube video is nothing other than just an embed code, or a map is nothing other. So we had it separated out to make it easier for people that didn't understand that. But like typically whenever I buy embed gigs, I just buy the general gig because it's all the same. So I didn't know that we had because I never, again, just to be clear, I never purchased just the map embed gig or the video embed gig because I always just purchase general embeds and then just submit either maps or videos or whatever it is that I want to embed through that. But I didn't realize that it was like that. Marco, is that
the
accurate?
map gig is to push
For one map only?
to push all of that power to that GMB map.
Okay,
That's what you should be submitting, that map.
gotcha.
For the video, it's that video that's going to get the power. If you order it to 5 videos, you're dividing the power that you're using, so you would have to buy a bigger gig. So either way, so if you go to the 5 iframes in the general, and you submit a map and a video and 3 others, well, all of the links that you then order to that embed gig or the embeds themselves are going to be divided by that much. So we're just helping people or trying to have people understand that if you're going to do maps, push all the power to that map. If you're going to do a video, push all the power to that video. If you're going to do a general, go ahead and split it, but make sure that you order enough so that each embed gig gets enough. And then when you order the link building, account for each one of those that you're ordering through the gig. So it isn't a simple fact. Well, I can get 5 here and 1 there. Why don't I just go do the 5? You better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to simplify it for people without having to do a whole webinar on what each one of those is.
Very good. So there you guys go. I don't see any other questions, and we're almost at the 5 o'clock mark, so I think we can wrap it up. You guys want to cover anything else, or are we good?
I'm good.
Good to go.
Okay. Thanks, fellas. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.